First of all, I would like to thank you for the work that you do, same as you. I was a refugee from Vietnam from years ago. Families and friends are neurodiverse, and I have a perspective in terms of what it's like to be disadvantaged in some ways, and I'm always very grateful for the work that you do daily. Second thing to say is with AI, we're all learning at the same time, including the rest of Microsoft and so on and so forth. I'm very open about that, and actually it's kind of good to be learning at the same time as well. So use a day, we'll be around and ask difficult questions. If we know, then we answer, but if I don't know, for example, I'll go away and I find out and I get back to you as well. That's part of learning. So we are going to talk a little bit about how we unlock the potential of AI for charities overall. My day job is very much about advising leaders in charities to leverage AI for good effect for their impact. We talked about this already, so I won't go through it. When we talk about challenges in the world, you probably know about that way more than I do. I want to just say this one thing, that we in Microsoft, we recognize that we as a tech leader, we have the responsibility to do more, and we are here is part of that, doing more to help the sector as a whole. I'm told that I need to put this up a bit more. So how we do that is that we create this section called Tech for Social Impact, and this is where I am a part of. We work exclusively with non-profits, and how we do this is through a social investment model. So we have always contribute, donate software and grants and discount to charities, and we continue to do that. But we also do a lot of capacity building as well. So in the last 2 years, Charles and his team have reached to 125,000 member staff within charities. In the next 2 years, we're planning to do 1 million, and that's part of what we are working on. We also grow the partner ecosystem. So you see some colleagues down there, they are working very closely with us so that the software that you have, you can make the most out of it. And then lastly, the social investment model. It means margin that we make. We are a commercial unit, but margins that we make stays within philanthropy so we can do further good. And a very special thing about Tech for Social Impact is that everybody pretty much have some affinity to charity, like myself, like you, and we're delighted that we work with the sector as a whole. So today, we talk a little bit about trend in terms of AI at work. AI for non-profit, for charities. This is a bit of a global deck. You hear the word non-profit. I use it interchangeably. Some concrete steps so that how you can experiment with AI. Throughout the day, we'll have more and more of these things, so hopefully we can learn a lot together. And then some questions and answers at the end if we have time. So, Work Trend Index. We do this thing on an annual basis. It's a big study that we always do. 31,000 people across 31 countries. And what we find is, we take in a lot of studies from Microsoft, from LinkedIn, and various sources as well. And here's what we find. 68% of the people are overwhelmed with the amount of work that they have, the digital signals that come at us, and a significant people feel burnt out. The implication of this is quite important, that these folks are 3.5 times less likely to be able to think strategically and to innovate. What if we could flip this around and have 100,000 member staff within charities and the 3.3 million volunteers to be able to innovate? I can't even imagine the impact of that, and that's the thing that makes me excited, and that's the thing that gets me out of bed at 5 to go to work every day. Here's something else. 85% of emails are read within under 15 seconds. This is quite important telemetry signals. when we look at one of these things, we are going to have to think about how can we work a bit more effectively so to save ourselves time for well-being for ourselves as well. So some more findings. One of the things that we find is that staff will use AI today. 75% of staff say they do, and they don't want to wait for organization to move towards providing AI for them. Now, what that means is that your IT team, your security team, your compliance team will be a bit queasy about this. Right? But the flip side of that is that what if we can harness that energy, that desire to learn, that desire to do further good into something that is into a learning environment, into a learning culture. That's the opportunity in front of us. There's a thing called the rise of AI users. These are, very savvy users, and they report, 90%, over 90% of them report that they find work is more enjoyable, the workload is more manageable, they can focus on the more important work, and they find themselves better from a well-being point of view as well. I find this staggering. I am not there yet, but I want to be. And I want to be able to enjoy my work more, working with you in the sector as well. Some of the other things that we also find is that managers are now considering recruiting more junior people, the people who don't know the domain as well, but are able to leverage AI as a bit of a preference over other people. And this kind of trend is probably just been bubbling along, but we now have the telemetry for it. So this is saying, a lot of organizations are on the journey in terms of the AI journey as a whole. Nobody is actually implementing AI at enterprise level, top to bottom, left to right. So don't ever feel that we need to be there and we can learn together on this particular journey. But I hope some of the telemetries, the signals that I've just shared, also give us some compelling reasons for us to want to do something with AI, albeit a very small step to start with. So I put this up because I find it interesting. This is saying there's a move for certain job roles to be more AI focused, and these are the kind of job roles that we see being sought in the industry. So here's Ha's view of the world. What I find, if your job role doesn't appear in here, what I find is inside of Microsoft, colleagues from finance, legal, procurement, learning and development, they just get on with it. They teach me. We have a legal group, which is Hugh's group. I go on there all the time because I learn from them. So I don't think this is what the industry is saying, but I don't think we need to constrain ourselves to this. Whatever your job role is and whatever your team do, the opportunity is there for us to all learn and leverage AI. So what are the benefits of AI as a whole? I'll scoot through this a little bit quickly, but I'll share some tangible examples so we can get a bit of a benefit, and hopefully it's invite you to get onto the journey as well. These type of challenges you're fairly well aware of, and within the space of charities, you see that there are lots of software solutions that can be used across each one of these areas overall. We in Microsoft, we have AI being infused into each one of these solutions. And the better thing is also that they are integrated together. Now, who here have challenged with data silos and you can't get insights out of it? Hands up. So having solutions actually integrated together is helpful because it takes some of that work away from you. It gets you to the insight a little bit faster. So here's a first example, Agape Source. They are small charities in Florida. Their mission is very much to welcome international students, refugees in the area. They are a very small team, 3-member staff and about 40 odd volunteers, but they have to deal with a diverse set of community speaking 19 different languages. So they use Copilot for the web to do some of the admin stuff to reduce time. They then also find that the time that they save in terms of doing less of the admin stuff, they can use to create things like welcome packages for international students, creating a home recipe using local ingredients to make those students feel a little bit like a home away from home more. And what they are also doing is, because of the time that they save, they can now start also looking at actually creating a physical community in the area as well. So that's impact. This one is in South Africa, and a lot of what they do is very much about protecting, restoring wild places, including places that are cross-border as well. And a big part of a problem in Africa as a whole, and in South Africa specifically, is wildlife crime. So what they do is they have camera solutions that capture movement from animals and people, and then they use AI to detect potentially suspicious activities like a car or people who are not supposed to be in an area. And so they can cover more of the crime hotspots, and the AI can help with flagging to the control center, and then they can deploy rangers much more quickly as well. So that is the solution, including AI, is helping with creating faster response in terms of time. I won't go through this, but this is one of my favorite because I work directly with them. So Age UK, we all know what Age UK do, but one of the things they do is the friendship helpline. And so a volunteer talks to an older person on a weekly basis. Age UK as an organisation is clearly has a responsibility to provide safeguarding for the older people. And so what they do is that they listen to recording after the event, and these recordings go from between 30 minutes to 3 hours. And they have to go and on a spot basis, listen to the segments to identify whether there are a need for additional training of the volunteers or any kind of problems. So using AI, what the AI could do is to identify the segments of the recording that have potential problems. It flags a member of staff to review, and it takes the member of staff directly to that place to review the segment. So the impact here is that in the last couple of years, they managed to review 23,000 recordings and save about 5,500 hours. And so they can provide much better safeguarding for the same number of staff. Hence is my favorite. I don't know if you noticed, but throughout all of those 3 examples, one thing that I want to call out is the human is always in there to make decisions. And so this is not about autopilot. It is about Copilot. We are in there, we make decisions, we are responsible for the things that we do. AI is still making mistakes, and so it's really important that we are, as humans, are in the loop. And so the term Copilot is the Microsoft Copilot covers a whole range of solutions, either from an employee productivity point of view, which generally is applicable to everybody, or in areas like sales, like marketing, like security, like IT, and that would be for specific job roles. And then you can create your own Copilot as well. So it's quite a rich range for today in the spirit of making things a bit more accessible and actionable as well. I'll just share some example of what you can take away and do. Right? So this one here, if you go on to copilot.microsoft.com, this is what I call Copilot for the web. If you have Microsoft Office, it is included into your subscription, your licensing cost already. And so I could go in here and I can say, my organization want to share information about summer volunteering opportunity, and then when we want to advertise it on X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And so the instructions I give it would be the prompt that you see there. And this is what it sent out to me. And you can see, because it understands social media, it gives me a lot of emojis, and it gives a lot of hashtags as well. And it gives me 3 different versions that I can put on social media. And this is the version that Agape is using as well in the example I mentioned earlier. If we take a step on and we look at some of the Office applications, then, Hugh mentioned earlier grant writing just Charles. Writing a grant overall. So I can go into my Microsoft Word and I can start looking at, if we say this is the requirement document for a grant, I can go in here and I can say, draft a grant proposal for me, use the data in the document that we saw earlier, include some other details about the funds and so on and so forth. Draft should be persuasive, clearly, and to show the requested funds should be used for program expansion, and then I give it the document, and you can give it a range of instructions. This is a kind of instruction that you can give. And then it goes away, it thinks about it a bit, and then it creates a grant document for me as a first draft. It's never going to be perfect, but it's a really good first draft that you can then take and tailor and according to your need. Or you can create a new one as well. So I want to get to the next stage on. If we just say a single grant document, that's a task. But actually, sometimes we do a lot more, bigger business tasks like, create and draft or develop an actual marketing campaign. And we can break it down into subtasks, and we can use the right tool for the right task. And this is what you see on the screen here. So we collaborating with 3 nonprofits in the last couple of months, and we have captured, with their help, they have captured, and we write it down. We've captured a whole set of these kind of usage, if you like, which is very specific to nonprofits. So we are looking at, how we can share it more broadly for everybody to make use of in the sector. Responsible AI. So this is something a lot of leaders are grappling with. There's the potential benefit, and a lot of the time leaders understand that, but how do you balance that with the potential harm of AI as a whole? So within Microsoft, we care a lot about that, and we created this responsible AI principles since 2017, and it's gone through a number of iterations in terms of we have more information, we have more actionable process and procedures inside of Microsoft as a whole. Inside of Microsoft today, when we develop any bit of program, it needs to all go through this process, and there's a playbook in here overall. So the reason I call this out is one, that we take that very seriously, but 2, as leaders, you are really grappling with, what do I need to care about, and what do I just perhaps be aware, but rely on Microsoft and other tech partners to do a good job of it, and I just need to retain oversight of that. So this course, which is on TechSoup, help with some of that. It'll give you a top-level overview of what you need to be concerned about, and so on and so forth. And then the next bit on is you go through the more detail of it. So some of it is, what you need to know on the left-hand side. There's an Ask the Expert focus on ethics principles and so on. And then there's also one, which is an hour, and it talks about use policy. How should I create my use policy within my organization? And then a whole set of other things that you can use from a tooling point of view to achieve a task. This is a part of the asset that we are working on in the last few months, collaborating with the 3 non-profit charities that I mentioned earlier. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, and as we share more wider to the sector, we can leverage them. So hopefully they give you a better start, a better head start. And some more stuff, some of it is, according to the Microsoft responsible principle, but that agreed use on the right-hand side, I see charities needing to think about it all the time. And so we are going to work together to continuously flesh out what that looks like to give everybody a bit of a head start. Way to experiment. So if you use a free version of Copilot, you can leverage this kind of structure. Prompting, providing the instructions to AI is like talking to a newly onboarded graduate. There's a science, there's a bit of an art to it. It's a bit like, you need to be quite specific all the time. Otherwise, they give you a 16-page document and I use just 1 or 2. And it's also a bit like talking to your kids as well. You have to, you go and you say, put these dishes on the board, clear out of the dinner table, and they go and they just put the dish by the sink, right? They don't actually put it into the washing machine, and they don't actually wash it. So you have to keep telling them. And there's a bit of an art and a science to it, but there's a structure to it, and it really is worth understanding as well as using, and this is the thing that I mentioned earlier. I learn this all the time, and I actually carved out time to learn every day as well from colleagues. Some more resources that you can leverage overall. One of the things that we notice is that skills is a big factor in terms of getting started overall. And so Zoe and her team have done a huge amount of work in terms of understanding some of that. So I want to hand it over to Zoe.